Hi guys, Smith here, welcome to the 7th round of the AOR GT3 Elite League, and today I'm at the Sonoma Raceway in the United States of America. Now, last round at Monza, finished in 7th position, which obviously was not that good, but it was to be expected. The car lacked horsepower and top speed, which obviously is crucial on that Monza track. You need to have good horsepower and top speed, and yeah, struggled. My aim was to keep it on the track and I didn't even do that. I spun twice, which obviously was very frustrating, and you know, I was hoping to fight with my teammate, but it was never really on, as I made mistakes and then I pitted, which I shouldn't have done in hindsight, but I was struggling with the tyre temperatures. But anyway, on to this race. I feel confident. The car actually feels stable for once, which is very surprising, especially under braking as well. The car don't seem to, lose the car under braking, which is unusual, but hopefully I can have a good result. Anyway, on to the qualifying lap, heading into turn 7, this hairpin here, exiting, and see where I am coming towards the second sector split in a moment or two's time. Lost about a tenth and a half, so really got to have a good sector 3 if I'm going to improve on this lap. My previous lap was a 29.3, so that is provisional pole at the minute, but obviously still want to improve because that don't feel good enough at this moment of time. Shift down to gear 1 to get a good exit out the hairpin. Heading towards the start finish straight now, try and get as close to the wall as possible and cross the line, and I do a 29.2, which put me in pole position, which as you expect, I was very surprised that I was actually surprised I got pole, but I was surprised that no one got into the 28. So I thought someone would actually do a 28 round here, but to get pole was very nice, but hopefully can keep it as lights go out. And I actually seem to get a decent start. Leobot is up into second place, so Rez has lost second place, trying to just keep the lead obviously. And it was the first time I actually started a new procedure. I don't use the handbrake, but I decided to use the handbrake. I never actually aligned the button for the handbrake until recently, after I lost all my save data. But yeah, I actually decided to use the handbrake, and it might have actually worked. Usually I don't, I'll just usually wait till the green lights go out and then press the accelerator, but obviously with the handbrake you can keep the revs higher, you can rev the engine quite a long time, so hopefully that worked. But anyway, just trying to pull away from Leobot here, about 5 tenths at the minute, but really hopefully can try and pull away from him, because obviously I don't really want him on my rear. But as long as I can keep it tidy and not make any mistakes, I should really keep first position, as Sonoma's not really a place you can sort of overtake, except for maybe the final hairpin. So I've just got to try and not do anything silly. Obviously that was in the back of my mind, because obviously the last 3 races have been very unfortunate. I made quite a few mistakes, and really I think my main aim was not to make a mistake, not to spin. And even if I finished second and third, that would have been successful. If I finished second and third in this race and not spin, then yeah, that'd be good for me. But anyway, you saw there, I nearly lost the car. Managed to press the brake to keep it in a straight line. Thankfully I did, and did lose me a second though to Leobot. And on lap 18, Leobot's about 2 seconds behind lap Troy. And at this moment I was just hoping that Troy could hold Leobot up, but on the end of lap 18, you'll see now Leobot dives into the pits, so he's going to try and get the undercut, and obviously now I've got to try and put in some good laps here. I wasn't actually losing time on tyres, so it wasn't time. I didn't feel it was time for me to pit. Now my plan was to pit on lap 20, and on the end of lap 20 I did dive into the box, and this is going to be crucial to see who gets the lead of this endurance race. I was just hoping the gap was big enough. It was about 38 seconds when I entered the pit, so let's see as this pit stop goes. Now you'll see now, as it comes back to real time, you'll see the gap decreasing on the bottom left hand of the screen. 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds as I was going, come on, to myself, and I see myself get ahead of Leobot, so I've maybe managed to get a little bit on him, not by much though. It was about, maybe he gained about 5 tenths, I'm not really sure, as he entered the pits on lap 18, might have been about the same distance, so he didn't really gain much at all, if anything. But on lap 30 now, you'll see Leobot's closed up, and I've got to say, Leobot did have really good pace in the second stint. He was actually quite pushing me a lot, and I was concerned that maybe he might, get a move done, especially, as he did seem to have much better pace. I don't know why. It wasn't like I was driving differently towards the differently compared to the first stint. I was driving the same. There was turns where I didn't actually take it as aggressive as I believe he did, especially turn 1, and then I think turn 3 as well. He took sort of more aggressive than I did, but that was the turns I didn't have the confidence in, so I did decide to play it a little bit safe. But anyway, these were the sort of turns that I seem to actually do okay in, these little complex of left and right handers, as he's only about 4 tenths behind, so obviously if I make a mistake he's going to get the lead. So really I was just thinking about keeping it on the road, and I can't believe it's actually 30 laps and I haven't spun yet, so that's actually quite an achievement for me, because I think it's only about 10 laps on a spin, which is a bit unusual, especially in the night as well. But the lighting wasn't actually that bad round here compared to Road America. I've got to say, I thought the lighting was good, so it wasn't that bad really, the visibility. But anyway, lap 31, and Leobot's gained about a tenth and a half coming towards turn 1 into turn 2, sorry, and he hasn't really gained much out of that turn. But maybe turn 3 you've got to be really aggressive to get a load of speed on that left-hander, and now it's about a tenth and a half gap, and trying to really get a good exit out the hairpin, and pulled a little bit out on him, about 2 tenths there. And this left-hander is probably the strongest part for me, and the BMW car seemed to have a really good speed through this corner, but he actually closed a little bit up. But these are like fractions of a tenth really closing up, not by much. I've just got to keep pushing him to make a mistake. I've got to try and keep pushing myself, sorry, and him hopefully make a mistake. But it's going to be very hard, because obviously Leobot has won races in AOR for F1, so he obviously is a very good driver. But as you see there, he goes off onto the sand, and he loses about two seconds there, so I was a little bit relieved. But obviously I didn't think the job was done yet. I knew that he would come back. He did seem to have good pace in the second stint, as I mentioned, so hopefully I can just keep it on the road. As now I was actually thinking, just keep it on the road, and you'll see the gap is about 4 seconds, so I think he made another mistake. And now I was just thinking, just play it safe now, because even if you lose about 4 tenths in 2 corners, that's 8 tenths, and you've got 2 laps to go. So obviously that's what you've got to take it pretty cautiously when the gap's quite big like that was. And now it's about 10 seconds, so he hasn't had a good last couple of laps, and I now was actually starting to think of the win. I knew that I won as long as I keep it on the track, and I actually can't believe that I've led this race from pole, from start to finish. It's unbelievable, to be honest, because I didn't coming into this track, I actually honestly believed that maybe I could get 4th or 5th, but to get pole was surprising, and then to win this race, I just can't believe what happened. And I do mention luck, but to be honest, I think I actually really deserved to win this race. I controlled the race, I didn't make any mistakes. He put me under a considerable amount of pressure, and to win in a car that I've not felt confident in all season, on a track where with the dark, and you've got to be aggressive in every turn, it was just unbelievable how I won. And yeah, you'll see now I'm top of the championship, which obviously I don't really deserve to be, but I wasn't even thinking about the championship until I heard that I was top. But obviously I don't expect to win it, but I'm going to try and you know, get another good result at Silverstone. It's a track that I like, and I had a good result there last year in the Pro League in a car that, you know, it's not as it's safe to say it's definitely not as good as the BMW. So anyway, I'd like to say thanks for watching. I'm going to soak in this victory for another few days, can't believe it, but anyway, thanks for watching and see you in Silverstone. Goodbye.